So I want to talk a little bit about mixture in the development process, because that certainly then starts to flow out into production. But in the development process, how niche is too niche for you?
Well, the great thing about our branded content is that it is actually often very four-quadrant. Our storytelling operates on 2 layers. It appeals to kids, but it also appeals to adults. So I think our focus has been primarily on the opportunity to really speak to a variety of audiences. We are creating some really wonderful unscripted content that speaks specifically to what you can say more targeted or more niche audiences, because on a streaming service, we do want things that appeal to a variety of audience groups. But our focus has been primarily on a broader group of viewing behavior.
Cool.
Yeah. I would say there are some shows that might appeal to smaller audiences than the massive hits. But for us, it's less about whether that show is niche and more about what's our portfolio of shows, because we need to have things that serve people's moods, which are very different in each individual consumer's taste. So you do a big 4-quadrant show like Castle Rock, people will like it, but you also, some of those people might want to watch something that is hyper-specific to their experience, and you have to have that for them. So we really just kind of look at the balance of what we have at any given time versus this show is a big, this show is a small, so on and so forth.
Vernon.
I felt like the answer is too niche is too niche, but we try to. To be honest, we don't spend a lot of time talking about niche. We do talk a lot about how can we expand our content to be more inclusive of more audiences. And so I think sometimes niche is used as a way to sort of say this particular audience isn't big enough to warrant content for them. And I think we sort of don't believe in that particular philosophy. I'd also say though that we believe we can support smaller stories if at the center of those stories there's something that's incredibly accessible and emotional. And so we've had wonderful success with shows like Transparent and Fleabag, and I could go on and on, which may not on the face of it seem like they're inherently a giant hit show, but they've been incredibly surprising to us in terms of the passion that the audience has had for them, have had for those shows. So we try not to get locked into the traditional thinking around small versus big in terms of shows.
A little bit different for us, I think, because we're so much the new kid on the block, and one of the primary goals we have is just building awareness so that people know what EPIX is and where it is and what it does. So for us, I think there are shows that would be too niche. However, there are also shows that do different things for you. Sometimes a show isn't necessarily about attracting the largest audience. Maybe it's about making a lot of noise. And then it's performing a really great function for you. There are a lot of shows that have been cultural hits over the past several years that are actually being watched by fairly small numbers of people, but they're performing a really useful function for the network involved because they're raising awareness and shining the right kind of light on it.